So as long as PHP Code Sniffer is installed, now we're ready to move on to installing the WordPress coding standards. I also want to make this kind of a global installation. So I would rather navigate to my Composer folder. Let me go to the user folder, .composer/vendor/bin. This is where I've got Composer installed globally, so I'll also install the WordPress coding standards here. Actually, I've already done that, but I'm going to show you how to do that anyway. So you can go over to the WordPress coding standards in GitHub. You can see there's a couple of ways that we could install the coding standards. We could use Composer to create a brand new project with the WordPress coding standards, starting from scratch. Or we could install WordPress coding standards as a dependency within an existing project, like within an existing theme. But in that case, we're going to need to use one of these plugins and require one of these plugins in order to handle the registration of the external standards. So what I prefer is to use a standalone version of this. We can copy this command to clone the repository to our Composer folder, our global Composer folder. So we can paste that into terminal, push return, and run that, and it will download the WordPress coding standards into a folder called WPCS. And you can see right there, I've already done it. The WPCS folder already exists for me. So I'm not gonna worry about it in this case. I've already done that. But then the next thing that we need to do is we need to add its path to the PHP Code Sniffer configuration. Back over on the GitHub repository, you can see the third step right there is to add its path to the PHP Code Sniffer configuration. So we can copy this, copy that, go back over here, and paste it in here. Now, we're going to need to change the last path right there, because that's obviously not a path to any folder. So we can tell it to go to the users directory, the global directory where we've installed Composer, vendor/bin/WPCS. That's the folder that I've installed here with the git clone command. So we can run that. And it says config value, installed paths updated successfully. Old value was WPCS. And then if we type phpcs/i-i, we can now see that the installed coding standards have been updated to include not only the original ones when we installed PHP Code Sniffer, but now it also includes all of the WordPress coding standards, which is exactly what we want. Okay, and then the last step is we need to change our Visual Code settings. So in Visual Studio Code, in order to open the settings menu, we can type Control comma. This will bring up our settings. We can click down here to extensions, go scroll down a little bit, find the PHP Code Sniffer extension, and then we need to update a couple of these values in here. So we take this auto config search, we can turn that off. I've had some trouble with that before. The Composer JSON path should be composer.json. And then down here, the executable path, we need to make sure that this executable path is the full path to our PHP Code Sniffer installation, our global installation. So the last thing that we need to double check is we need to set our standard in PHP Code Sniffer. We need to set the standard to WordPress. We can edit this in our settings.json file. So if you open that up, you should be able to see a couple of places down here where we've got a PHP Code Sniffer already modified some of the settings. And so we can add another setting in quotation marks, PHPCS, PHP Code Sniffer.standard. And then the standard that we want in quotation marks is WordPress. Go ahead and Control S, save that settings file. And now we should have PHP Code Sniffer available via its executable file. We turned off the auto config search, and we've got a standard for WordPress. So now all of our settings should be set up correctly. And then I guess in order to test it, we could create a new PHP file. Let's save as index.php. And then when we start typing our PHP, you can see if CodeSniffer is working properly, we're going to get a couple of underlines, squiggly underlines. So CodeSniffer now should work in any kind of PHP file, and it should give us any kind of pop-up windows with some information about the problems that we have. So I hope that you were able to get PHP CodeSniffer and the WordPress coding standards installed and working. But if not, you might need to do a little bit of troubleshooting. If you get any pop-ups over here on the right-hand side telling you that PHP CodeSniffer is working, but it can't find the standards, then you might need to change or check your configuration in here. In the next video, I'm going to teach you how to set up WordPress for development.